All right, everyone. Thanks for joining me on another one here. So the question for this video, actually a few different questions, has to do with free will. Now, of course, as far as to kind of get the basics out of it is, what is your understanding of what free will is, or what is your definition of what free will is? And based on that understanding, do you believe we actually have free will, and why? Now, my initial question I wanted to pose is more directed towards Christians, or at least those that believe that we were created by a God and given free will. Just something very small and basic to kind of think about and give me your opinion on is, if we were given free will by a God, why is it that you're punished for utilizing that free will? Because from what I'm understanding, based on your faith, is if we don't believe, or if we can't believe, or if we choose not to worship, however you want to word it, you're to be punished with eternal damnation in hell. Based on the Christian faith. Now, isn't the point of free will to be able to make the decisions yourself? Make choices on your own discretion? Why would a God give its creation, if that's what you believe, the option, the ability to make choices for themselves? If all it's going to happen is we're going to be punished if we make the wrong decision. Why not just create everybody without free will and just make us all pretty much like robots and make the same decision and choose to worship automatically and just create us in that manner in the first place? Of course, if you believe that, why not strip everyone of free will in the first place to avoid this eternal damnation that we're all damned to pretty much for utilizing a tool, the ability to decide for ourselves from this God? Just something to kind of run through your mind a little bit and give me your opinion on, I guess, what are your thoughts on this? But as far as the way that I look at it, as far as my understanding of free will is basically us having the ability to make choices for ourselves without being restricted to a specific way or a specific necessity or faith, a destiny, if you will. That's my understanding of what free will is, with not being restricted to some type of destiny that's already set forth by some deity or some supernatural being or anything of that sort. We have our own choices, our own decisions. We are responsible for our own actions. That's free will. We decide for ourselves. We make those choices. Now, I personally believe that, yes, we do have free will. Now, just kind of a little caveat to that, because, I mean, some things we can have free will and want to do something or choose to do something, but still can't. But that's a little bit more of like a physical restriction or restriction on the laws of nature and physics and stuff like that. But something like waking up in the morning and making a choice to, hey, I'm going to eat breakfast, or hey, I'm going to go to work, or hey, I'm going to go pick this up, or I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Just basic little everyday things. Us making those decisions, having the discretion to choose for ourselves, that's part of free will. I believe we have that. Now, something more obvious, of course, is like back in the day when we didn't have as much ability or technology and science to rely on. Say somebody wanted to fly. Of course, they wouldn't have been able to. They could have tried. They could have had the will to do it, but physically could not. The laws of nature and laws of physics would prevent us from doing that. But, of course, now, thanks to science, we can. A little bit of help, a little bit of resources. But if we have the will to do this, we can. We can choose to actually make this happen. Now, outside of physical restrictions and gravity and physics and our body's physical restrictions, honestly, outside of those limitations, we can choose to do anything that we want to do. Unless, of course, you're abiding by society's norms or society's laws, of course. But free will does exist. We can make those decisions. There are going to be consequences, of course, but it's there. It's at your discretion. Now, some would imply that in the same way that if you act outside of the society's norms or society's laws and that you incur those consequences, that's in the same way that a God would look at it, as far as, I'm going to give you this free will, but if you make the wrong decision, you will be punished for it. And that's more of the question, back to the initial question that I was asking, as far as if that is the case, why give us that free will in the first place? We understand why there are laws in nature, or not in nature, but in society, and things that we have to abide by to at least to be able to cooperate with one another in a society and as a civilization. We understand that. But if we are to be threatened with this eternal damnation by God that gave us free will, why is that? Why not strip us of that free will in the first place? So I'm going to give you this ability to decide for yourself. But if you choose wrong, you burn in hell forever. What sense does that make? What is the reason behind that? God wanted us to choose to go to hell in, I guess, some people's viewpoints? That doesn't make sense. So what are your thoughts on that, I guess? So, like I said, initially, what is your understanding of what free will is? Do you believe we actually have free will? And if you do believe in a God, why would a God give us free will, but yet punish us for utilizing it? So that's my thoughts on it. Let me know what you guys got. What are your thoughts?